second. I'm going to hit the record button. Oh, you're recording now. Okay, great.
Yes, I tried that as well. If you don't mind, can I?
That's yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, please, please. It doesn't matter which one of us records. It's all good. That's perfect.
Okay.
So let me just set. I'm setting an alarm on my phone for the
Yes.
session. So about 1:10. 1:10 p.m. Great. All right. So cool. I'm going to get into the channeling state, and then from there, ask my guides, whatever you're inspired to ask about, and they'll go in with you.
Yeah, and just one more question. If I skip just to my question list in my Microsoft Word right now, can you see me? Can you hear me right now? If I
It's a
change to like
little
the desktop?
it's a little harder to hear you right now.
Okay, just a moment. And right now?
That's better. Yeah, that's better.
All right, all right.
All right, cool. Cool. So anything else before we begin, or are you all set?
I just want to thank you for what you do, and I have like tremendous respect for you because you are a courageous guy who does his passion. It's nice to see.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I'll get into the state and then have a good time.
Thank you, you
Of
too.
course. Very, very welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and we thank you so much for coming and interact with us this day of your time. How are you doing?
I am doing very well. Thank you for being there.
Of course, it is our highest passion to be in existence and to be interacting with your civilization in this unique way. This is representative of our highest ecstasy, our highest joy in this version of the moment we are all co-creating together. So we are, in that sense, doing our part to ensure that through these conversations, through these interactions, we are fully expressing ourselves, fully being ourselves, and fully representing the energetics that run and operate the collective consciousness of our civilization.
I had so many questions prepared, and I even imagined our interview beforehand. And right now, I am a little bit like stopped, and I don't know what to ask. I will remember.
That's
But
all right. That's all right. Remember, this is a conversation that is based in the energetics of synchronicity. So whatever comes through, whatever information you receive is exactly what you require in the moment from this conversation, from this interaction. So understand, if you wish, you can relax the idea of needing to know what to ask. Understand whatever information you require is already available in this moment, this moment already contains all of the information you require by default. So no matter what you do, no matter what you ask, no matter what you say, you will always get what you need in the moment to be able to express yourself to the fullest capacity that you are able to in this version of the now.
Thank you very much for the reassurance. It's very pleasing, and thank you for that. My question first would be not too long ago you spoke about four-step program, how to face the reality and how to change the beliefs. You started with beliefs, then to emotions, then to thoughts, and then to actions.
Yes.
And,
all right.
And my question is if this is the best way how to do it, or if sometimes it's better to do it the other way down, from actions to thoughts to emotions to beliefs. Is it okay or not?
Yes, you can do it both ways, understanding that the belief systems you have are the energetic inspiration for the emotions, thoughts, and actions. So at any point when you're observing yourself, if you notice you're having a negative emotion or a negative thought, or you're acting in a way you would consider to be negative, you can always trace that back to the belief, because the belief is the underlying energetic motivation for those other three levels. So you can go to the belief level through any of the other levels. So if you notice you are acting in a way you don't prefer, then you are able to then go back down that hierarchy to then the thoughts that are associated with that action, then the emotions that are associated with that thought and action, then finally to the belief. So you can go to the belief level through any level within that particular hierarchy of expression.
Yeah. Let's think about one example. For example, I like running, but a few months I didn't run at all.
All
And
right.
I got a little bit fat,
All
and
right. Yeah.
I want to run again. And it's difficult for me to go to the belief level. It's better for me just to start running and to enjoy afterwards the good feeling of it, and then to be balanced and be healthy.
Yes.
Is it sufficient if you go just from those actions to feeling and you don't discover the underlying
Yes, the
belief
idea,
mechanism?
yes, that is all right. The idea is you can always override the belief system by believing that you can. So for example, you can notice that there's a negative belief within you that perhaps is inspiring qualities like laziness or lethargy, and you can choose to override that belief without even really knowing what it is, simply by believing that that's possible. So yes, absolutely, you're able to simply perform the desired action if you believe you're able to perform the desired action, despite the belief that is inspiring a contrary feeling state to that desired action.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Okay, so let's explore another topic. Is it so? Everyone is creating his own reality. Does it is it valid for 100%?
Please repeat your question.
Okay, is everyone making his own reality?
Please repeat the beginning of this. We're unable to understand how you're introducing the question at the beginning.
Uh, Everyone is creating his own reality, yes?
Yes, yes.
So, if I am aware in my reality of something which is displeasing, it's most likely my unconscious creation.
Yes, it is in that sense a external projection that is emerging from what you consider the unconscious or the subconscious. And the idea is you're observing those energies playing themselves out in your externalized reality. The idea is at times you will manifest into your reality situations, circumstances you may consider to be negative or less preferred. And when you observe those things, it is always an opportunity to choose to embrace and align with your true nature, your heart. And that allows for you in many ways to begin to release from your energy field the subconscious programs that manifest the idea of the external phenomenon you say you don't prefer. So when you are faced with circumstances, situations that appear negative, use that as an excuse, use that as a reason, use that as a motivation to align as powerfully as you can with your true nature. To go into a state of love and acceptance within yourself and within your life, despite seeing the thing you don't prefer. That will allow for you to channel the vibration of unconditional love and acceptance to the subconscious level, the unconscious level of your being that contains the energetic blueprints that manifest the external reality. So as you go into a state of love, you're downloading love and joy into the subconscious to then release the idea of the subconscious programs that manifest what you do not prefer in the reality experience.
Okay, thank you.
Yay.
Another question would be about timelines.
All right.
I remember Bashar once speaking about the so-called Mandela effect. Supposedly there are people on Earth who think that Mandela died approximately 1984 or something, but in my reality he lived maybe until 2010 or 15. So did those people really skip the timeline?
Yes, the idea is not so much that they skipped a timeline, but these are individuals that prior to this version of the present moment were in such a different vibration that they were aligned with a different timeline. So they experienced a different sequence of collective events that is different than how other individuals in the reality experience those events. Right now, in your reality framework, understand that you are literally creating, you are literally forming new timelines. Think of timelines as different pathways. If you were walking on a path and suddenly that path split into up to 10 different directions, each of those different splits represents different timelines. The idea is individuals on that preliminary path that then emerge at the split will gravitate to one of the splitting paths that are a match for their unique vibration. And the idea is individuals that are collectively a match for one of those pathways will then move to one of those pathways, and they will collectively experience the idea of that pathway representing the timeline. So for example, when many of you gather together and you are all in alignment in relationship to a particular timeline, the vibrational code for that timeline, the frequency for that timeline, collectively, you and that group will then move to that version of the timeline. Other individuals within your reality may be a collective match for a different timeline, and you will then move on to that different timeline. Understand, this is something you do very regularly, the idea of shifting timelines. Understand that the individuals who experience Nelson Mandela dying earlier in the idea of the 1980s time period, they were on a different collective timeline. Eventually, they followed that timeline to a particular point where it then, just as we've said in the analogy of the path that then splits, they followed that timeline to a splitting point. Do you understand so far?
Yes, yes.
Once they got to the splitting point, they collectively became a vibrational match for your timeline, the timeline where Nelson Mandela did not die until much later. So they jumped from that previous version of history, that previous timeline, to an alternate timeline. And the idea is all of you do this from time to time. You will follow your particular timeline to a specific point where it then splits into different versions of the timeline. Based on your vibration at that splitting point will then determine which new timeline you jump onto. Some of you may jump onto timelines that are very different. When you jump onto the very different ones, that's when you begin to experience the Mandela effect, because you'll recognize the history on the timeline you shifted into does not match the history of the timeline you were previously on. You can also conversely shift into a new timeline that is so similar to the one you were just on, you don't even notice you shift. So the bigger of a change you make in yourself, generally speaking, at those splitting points, the more of a contrast you'll then begin to notice within your reality, because the new timeline will have things within it, versions of history, that are very different than the one you were previously experiencing.
And okay, let's you in this example. So those people who skip to this timeline,
Yes.
it's just one version of them skipped to this timeline and something remained there, or totally
Yes.
they skipped here.
Yes, understand that there are infinite versions of you. So while you are having this conversation, there are infinite variations of how this conversation is happening, with different versions of yourself in each of those different variations. So for example, right now, there's a version of you that is listening to what I am saying. There's another parallel reality where this type of conversation is happening, where right now you're actually speaking and we are listening. There's another reality where you actually canceled this session and the session's not even occurring. The idea is there is another version of reality where the session also got rescheduled on behalf of the channel. There's another version of reality where a different being is coming through the channel. So in each of these moments you experience, there are always infinite different variations of the moment that are playing out. Do you understand so far?
Well, I do, but I'm amazed.
Yes. One moment. Based on your vibration in the moment determines which versions of yourself you become, which parallel reality you shift into. So, for example, in those timeline splits, the individual becomes a match for a different timeline. So they then experience themselves as shifting onto that other timeline. But because there's infinite variations of the moment, there's a version of them that remained a match for their original timeline. Therefore, they stayed on it. Both of those versions of the individual that remains on the timeline and shifts to a new one are both playing out. They are both occurring. The idea is it's your vibration in the moment that determines which one of those reality experiences you shift into. Both of them are playing out. You have an equal opportunity and equal availability to pick either of them. But it is your choice to maintain a certain vibration in the moment that determines which one you experience. So right now, each of those other versions of you having this type of interaction with our civilization are all a vibrational match for those realities. They simply represent the idea of the different options, the different choices. For every choice that is available to you, or every option that's available to you, there's a version of yourself that's playing it out, that's living it. That's how you're able to experience those things. The idea is you can experience those other perspectives, those other realities by being a vibrational match for them. That's why those other selves exist. So you can, as the observer, as the main character in your story, choose those options and you become those other versions. They are holding space for you to be able to select those different available options, those different available realities. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But the question is, are all those other realities as real as this one, or they are just possibilities?
Yes, they are just as real as this one.
And,
absolutely.
Okay, and is there one original primordial timeline from which it all splits? Was there one me on the beginning which split into these many timelines?
The idea is that all versions of reality are created simultaneously. The idea is not that there's one that's first. That's a linear way of observing space-time, which is all right and all well and good, but it's not accurate to how creation actually operates. The idea is all parallel versions of the reality are instantaneously created as one of those versions is created. So as soon as you imagine one possible scenario, one possible version of a moment, all alternative versions of that moment are instantaneously created as you simply imagine one version. Therefore, they are all original. They are all original because they all come from the same source, and they all are created simultaneously. So they are all originals. They are all valid. The idea is that some of those variations are going to be more or less in alignment with your true signature frequency of who you are. So you could say that even though there's infinite variations of the moment that you can shift into, some of them are going to be very resonant with the vibration of your heart. Some of them will not be. And it's your ability to detect the vibrations of your choices and your reality that determine the idea of if that reality framework is actually in alignment with your true nature.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Sure, you answered it very nicely, and I understand it.
Excellent.
So, another question, maybe I will return to timelines, but I have another question right now in my mind, and it is about the truth and falsehood. If something is false.
Please repeat this. We are unable to understand these words clearly through the channel's ears. Please repeat yourself.
I would like to know the distinction between the truth and the falsehood.
All right, thank you.
And for example, some people in this timeline, how do I recognize when sometimes someone is just making things up, or for example, if he really shift, for example, from those Mandela split timeline, someone can lie, and how like is there a difference between lying and just seeing the way with my own eyes, but like with confused eyes?
All right, thank you for the question. We observe that it is beneficial as a question, not just for yourself, but many individuals in your reality. Through asking this, you are allowing for greater amounts of clarity to be downloaded into your Earth collective consciousness. This is a very important question. We thank you for bringing it to the table. Now, understand that what you consider to be truth, many of you equivocate to the idea of your language. You equivocate the idea of truth to the idea of how individuals express themselves in the reality utilizing words. And the idea is when the words that they use accurately represent the reality experience that they are imagining, you begin to understand that as truth. However accurately people express themselves and their understanding of reality, to many of you represents truth. Understanding truth is actually a little different. Truth represents the idea of an authentic signature frequency, a vibration that is in alignment with your heart, that is in alignment with your true nature. Now, for example, an individual may experience something in their reality and they may interpret it in a way that is incorrect. So when they go to express themselves vocally using words about that situation, the words can't really do the experience justice. They don't really convey accurately the information. However, if that experience the person had was something that is in alignment with the idea of their true nature, then even though they may be vocally expressing it improperly or inaccurately or incorrectly, the idea is their underlying energy will represent the quality of that alignment of the situation they are working to express. When you tune into the underlying energy of the individual, of what they are saying, you'll be able to determine through scanning it whether or not that underlying energy is in alignment with the idea of truth, which again, truth being alignment with the true nature, alignment with the heart, alignment with the self. When you scan into an individual and you can feel that that is the vibrational place that they are coming from, understand you are connected to truth. For truth is bigger than the idea of just intellectual concepts you express with your vocabulary. The idea of truth is rather a vibrational frequency that represents alignment with reality, with your true reality. So when you are working to determine truth from falsehood, the idea is don't listen so much to the words, because the words may not be able to accurately describe what the person is working to convey. They may be subpar. Rather, what is important to pay attention to is the idea of the emotional state, the feeling state that you are detecting from the other person. That will let you know if that energy is in alignment with the idea of one's true nature. Does that make sense?
Yes. So if I perceive someone speaking something which I don't consider to be with his own true nature, I can recognize the deception in it. And even though when he says it's truth, I will feel the deception. And is it okay?
Yes, understand it is all okay, because remember, that person's truth is true for them because they're choosing to believe in it. But if you scan into the underlying quality and you recognize that it doesn't feel aligned with your true nature, then recognize you don't have to pick it up. Remember, they may not be consciously attempting to deceive. They simply are, in many situations, misunderstanding reality. They're misunderstanding the cues and the messages they're receiving. So if you recognize that what they're conveying isn't aligned with the vibration of truth, the idea is to allow for it to exist in non-judgment and to simply say, thank you for sharing your gift. Thank you for sharing your perspective. I recognize that it's not a match for my own inner truth. Therefore, I will not be selecting it.
Okay, that's good.
All right. Did that clarify a little bit more for you?
Yes, now I am satisfied with the answer. Thank you very much. I got it. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Take your time. Take your time.
I will check my notes. Just a moment. You already answered few of my questions which I prepared, so I expect that there are realities in which I have already died in this life, what I consider my life, for example, through accidents or another effects or another.
Yes. There are multiple versions of how you have chosen your death in different realities prior to this current space-time equation you're interfacing with right now. Yes, there are multiple versions of death that you have created in different parallel realities.
So, when I create this reality from the present moment, right now, so did the people in my closest environment move with me all the time through my timeline, or they changed, although they skipped from one reality to another? So is it possible to say that people in my present moment surrounding me are not those who were there like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago? They also changed, or they are changing like simultaneously with me to my reality? They continue with me.
Yes, understand that there are, just as we have said, infinite versions of yourself in this unique moment. There are infinite versions of others. So, for example, the individuals who you perceive as more constant characters in your reality, you've known them for 10 years, you've known them for 5 years, you keep seeing them throughout your life, understand you're interfacing with versions of them that are a match for your unique version of reality. But remember, there's infinite versions of them that have chosen to not be a vibrational match for your reality at all. So there's different versions of others. Some of them are in your reality because you're a match for them. Others are in different realities that are a match for different versions of you, or in versions of reality where you are not part of that equation as yourself. So understand that individuals in that way will create versions of themselves that are a match for your particular reality, so they can learn with you. They can learn the lessons of that timeline. They can learn the lessons of the relationship between you and they. However, you will notice that there are some individuals that do not choose to create that. For whatever reason, they say, listen, the timeline you are on has no relevance to my journey. Therefore, I am going to create a version of reality where I am not a part of that timeline you experience. And then those individuals will seem to vanish from your reality. because they will have determined on a certain level that the timeline experience you are a part of is not relevant for their journey anymore. The individuals that you currently interact with in your reality are creating versions of themselves that believe that this timeline is relevant for them to learn from and to grow on. So you experience them as constant characters, constant players in your daily life and in your collective story.
Okay, so if those individuals disappear, but I still have memories of them, so
Yes.
is it the same, or I should just like send the memories away, or?
There's no need to send the memories away if they are coming. The idea is the memories are doorways. The memories are doorways into parallel realities that you consider to be the past. So when you're remembering something, you're not accessing a database of stored events. You're scanning in with your psyche into another reality that's currently happening. So if you find that memories are making their way to you that are relevant to relationships you have had with individuals that are no longer a part of your here and now, the idea is that that memory is a door to those other simultaneously occurring realities. Using the memory and the energy, the state of being you feel when you scan into that memory, it allows for you to interface with that other reality, where you can learn from the other person, because that other person is a reflection of you. They are a teacher. They have information to share with you through their unique reflection of yourself. So when you're scanning into these other realities that you consider to be past, with old friends or old family members or old characters, the idea is that you can interact with the teacher spirit of that other reflection. You may find that they will have lessons for you, messages for you that are relevant to your journey in the now, and that is why the memory is actually emerging. It's emerging as a portal for that teacher energy of the individual to reach you in your current version of the here and now. So you don't have to shoo them away unless you choose to. You can, if you wish, interact with them, engage with them, go into a meditative state and ask the individuals from the memory, or rather from that parallel reality you're scanning into, what the underlying message is, what the teaching is, what the lesson is. And they will share that with you. They'll share it with you either telepathically, through an understanding. It may arrive as an answer through synchronicity. You may see a sign or someone may say something that catches your attention. But the idea is you can use those past realities, those memories that emerge as teacher energies for your current timeline. So you can become more integrated with the timeline, so you can become more aligned with your true nature as you walk this particular timeline.
Okay, so I seem to be creating memories of unhappy childhood all the time.
All right.
And so is there a version of me which had a happy childhood?
Yes. Yes. That is what this memory sequence you're experiencing is actually working to teach you. That's why it's emerging. Because you know what it feels like to have a negative childhood, yes? You know that feeling?
Yes. Yes.
If you know that feeling, then you automatically know its opposite.
Yes.
Yes? You can imagine the opposite feeling, yes?
Yes.
The idea is the following. As you experience the memories that reveal to you the more negative story with the less preferred feelings, it's presenting itself to you and exposing you to those vibrations. So in your current version of reality, you can create and embody the opposite qualities. So for example, the idea is when you're a child, you know what it feels like to be a child. You can go into the memory state of being a child. The idea is create that in the here and now. What does it feel like to be a child right here, right now? The idea is that past memory, in addition to exposing you to the vibrations of childhood, it also exposes you to the vibrations of things like negative parenting experiences, negative educational experiences. It's showing you those themes. So the idea is, in your current here and now, what does it feel like to be the inner child, but to be in a state of love? What does it feel like to be the inner child and to receive unconditionally loving guidance and wisdom from your own inner mother and father, because you contain the idea of mother and father energies as a part of your psychology. So what does it feel like in the now to be the inner child, to be in a state of love, and to be interacting with your own inner parents in a way that's based in authenticity and passion? As you create that scenario in the now, you're actually shifting your version of the past to a different past. So it's as if you're detaching from the idea of the negative childhood you perceive in the memories, and you're realigning with a different version of history that is containing the idea of the positive vibrations you're choosing to adorn in the here and now. So based off your energy in this moment, you actually shift the version of your past. So even though you may remember a negative childhood, that memory will not actually be representative of your true past if you shift your vibration in a way we have described that represents the idea of being the inner child, being in a state of love, receiving love from the inner parents. That will align you with a new past that's representative of those energies in the now. So you can shift the idea of your past. The negative memories you're experiencing are emerging to assist you in making that shift.
Okay, so will the physical memories remain the same and just the angle of the view will change to the more positive ones, or even the physical experiences?
The physical experience is automatically interwoven to the perspective. You do not ever have a physical experience without a perspective. Every perspective that you use has its own unique physical reality experience built into it. So for every different perspective you try on, you wear, you look into, you are automatically interfacing with a unique, brand new physical reality version. So every perspective that you use has a different physical reality interwoven into it. So as you shift your perspective, you are automatically shifting into a different version of physical reality with a different past, with a different future, with a different present. You understand?
Yeah, so
reality does not ever exist separate from your perception, ever. Reality is based on your perception. It is your perception that creates the reality in the first place. So when you shift your perception, you shift the version of reality you're selecting. And it's a literal, different, unique reality every time.
So does it mean that, for example, this consciousness, which is right now speaking through me,
Yes.
can raise its frequency through meditation or
Yes.
loving others or stuff like that, that it can skip to new reality in which it will have positive memories of childhood and as well as physical memories of other things which happened to me, which confirm those like better memories?
Yes.
Is it not possible?
Yes, this is possible. Yes, it is possible for memories that are very different than how you understand your past to surface. For some of you that make a powerful enough shift, you may find yourself having memories of things you prior to that moment had no memory of, that represent a different storyline of your life. Yes, as you create newer and newer versions of yourself that are in greater amounts of contrast to the prior versions of yourself you were experiencing, you will then begin to experience memories, insights, thoughts, and feelings that are unique to the new version of yourself you have created. The larger the contrast, the more unique and contrasting the memories of your past will be in comparison to the older points of view, the older selves that you were utilizing. So you can, in many ways, have spontaneous memories that represent a very different storyline, a very different understanding of your past. Understand that what you consider a memory is no more than an imagining. It is a recreation of an energy that you are familiar with. So whenever you are imagining something in your reality, it's the same energy you use to have a memory. It is no different. The idea is you can create new memories, if you wish. For example, the idea of imagining a happy childhood that contained all of the elements of your highest preference. When you imagine that, when you embody that, you're actually aligning with that version of reality where that starts to become your past. Instead of drawing your context for the moment from the old past that represents a more negative version of reality, you begin to shift that to the positive imagining. And then that actually becomes your reference point for the idea of the past. That's actually one of the ways you can more greatly shift into a new version of yourself in the moment, by imagining that you have a different past. It will allow for you to then create the energies from that imagining more powerfully in the now. For example, when you begin to imagine you had a happy childhood and you begin to believe that and you wear that in the moment, it then shifts all aspects of your reality in the moment that are relevant to that theme of childhood, that are relevant to the different lessons and interactions that are a part of that memory, that are a part of that past you're imagining. You begin to shape-shift your version of the moment to reflect that energy state of the imagining. So it's as if in many ways you're reinventing your past, you're reinventing your childhood from the here and now simply by imagining it differently and relating to it differently.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, you are welcome. Absolutely welcome. Remember, you are the one that creates the story. You are the one that creates space and time. You are the one that creates everything within creation. So remember, what you say goes. Your imagination is infinite.
Yeah, I was thinking that I created from now to the future, but I didn't realize I can create it in the past as well.
Yes,
I was thinking that past is done, fixed.
Yes, because remember, the past and the future are just two sides of the same coin. They are both imagined perspectives. Yes? What's here and now you can see around you. What's here and now you are interfacing with. But the idea of past and future requires the bridge of the imagination for you to begin to perceive it. It exists in a different dimension of reality than the direct physical reality you're interfacing with. So imagining the future and imagining the past are technically the same type of energy. They're technically the same type of activity, and they yield the idea of very similar effects within the here and now. When you imagine different versions of the past or different versions of the future, you shape shift the aspects of your here and now that are relevant to the imaginings to be more reflective of the imaginings.
This is of great help, because, as I said before, I really thought that the past is fixed, and this gives me freedom to choose. I didn't realize it before, so I thank you for this clarification.
You are infinitely welcome.
Oh.
Because remember, it's the here and now that is technically all you have. Remember, that's why they say being present in many of your esoteric traditions. That's why they say being present, being in the moment, is the only thing that is required for enlightenment. It is the only thing that is required to fully live a happy, powerful, authentic life. When you're in the here and now, you are interfacing with the aspect of reality that represents your creational abilities. When you are rooted in the moment, you can literally redesign and create anything you desire within your reality experience. It's all from the here and now that you do this, including, again, the idea of manifesting in different versions of the past and future. You do that from right here, right now, without exception.
Thank you. Another question is about passion and anxiety.
All right.
How to distinguish between those two, because sometimes they are very close, or maybe unconsciously close.
Yes, all right. Now, understand that when you are experiencing passion, there will be a feeling of unconditional love for yourself and for the reality around you. It will feel very inclusive. You understand?
Yes.
It'll feel similar to the idea of a hug. It'll feel like you're truly embracing both your inner and outer reality when you're acting on passion. When you are acting on anxiety, it may feel as if you're leaving certain things out. You will feel the idea of a separation in the energy. When you're feeling that separation, understand it represents the idea of resisting something in the present moment. The anxiety will feel as if it's trying to exclude something, it's trying to push something away, it's trying to leave something out. Where the passion will feel like it's including everything. It's not turning anything away. It's embracing everything as naturally perfect, naturally valid. But the anxiety will feel as if it's saying, oh, I just want this and we'll leave the rest out and I don't want to look at it. You'll feel the energy of resistance there. Remember, what you resist in your reality will remain persistent. It will show up again and again and again so you can integrate it. You understand?
Yes.
That is why you have the idea of karma. Karma simply represents in your cultures the idea of energies that have been attempting to integrate with you over time, simply doing that, attempting to integrate with you over time in different parallel realities. The idea is you absolve the idea of karma as you fully embrace the moment. You allow for a complete integration. The reason you have the idea of reoccurring themes or cyclical patterns or karma is simply because there were energies in the past, energies in different realities that you chose to avoid, you chose to exclude. They are simply remaining a part of your version of reality and working to become integrated with you. That is how you can differentiate between the idea of passion and anxiety. Simply notice if you're fully embracing your reality or if you're pushing something away. It is that simple.
Okay, let's do an example. I would like to go climbing in Africa.
All right.
And climbing is my passion.
All right.
But it costs some money.
All right, yeah.
And I have to think about paying rent and my debts. So how to be able to distinguish the proper connection between doing the passion and not to overwhelm myself financially.
Yeah. You are familiar with the idea our civilization has presented of it's not this or that, it's this and that?
Yes.
The idea of inclusion, yes? Begin to recognize that that's all one reality. Begin to recognize those different pathways, those different options of honoring your responsibilities, paying your bills, and rock climbing in Africa. Recognize that they are all contained within the same reality. For example, can you close your eyes and imagine yourself in a reality where you are honoring your responsibilities, you are paying your bills, and you are also rock climbing? Can you imagine that happening in the same story?
Yes.
That means that that's possible for you. That means you can create it. That's what that imagery represents. The idea is that both are possible. Begin to recognize there's no conflict. You understand?
Yes.
That feeling of giving someone a hug, imagine that feeling when you begin to imagine this preferred story where you are honoring your responsibilities, but you are also able to rock climb. Imagine you're embracing all of that with no resistance. Feel that embrace. Feel that integration. You're bringing that reality closer to you in terms of the reality experiences that are in alignment for your vibration. You're allowing for it to become more and more and more integrated with your here and now as you create the idea of embracing that reality. Now, with that being said, recognize that you can follow your passion in relationship to the idea of rock climbing in Africa and paying your bills and honoring your financial responsibilities by simply imagining what is the most exciting way to explore this story. For example, the theme of the story is I want to honor my responsibilities, pay my bills, and be able to follow my passion, travel to Africa, travel to new locations. All right, that is the theme I wish to create. Give that theme a hug, embrace it, and then simply follow the formula. What is the most exciting thing I can do right now in relationship to that story? Look at the options in the moment. You may find there are new options that will present themselves to you, such as the idea of getting a new job, such as the idea of simply calling a friend, talking to another person, researching different ways you can experience rock climbing while in Africa. Pay attention to the different themes of options that are available to you when you think of that story. Act on the one that is most in alignment with your passion and follow it, and it will be moving you through that story. You understand?
Yes.
It's like you're tuning into a pathway that represents that preferred reality experience of honoring the responsibilities in rock climbing. As you simply follow your passion while you're in alignment with that path, you're advancing on the path. You're taking a step further and further and further on the path. The idea is that that passion in the moment that you are acting upon, representing the different options of choice, are the same vibrational frequency of passion represented by the rock climbing and the honoring of responsibilities. You understand?
Yes, yes.
So as you follow your passion in the moment, you're automatically aligning with that preferred reality because they're of the same vibration. So the idea is to maintain the energy of that preferred reality of honoring the responsibilities and rock climbing, embrace it, feel it. And as you're embracing it and feeling it and owning it and wearing it as your identity, your energy, just simply follow your passion. And it will line you up with the pathway to experience that reality. Allow for yourself to believe and know that it's possible, to believe and know that you're worthy of it, to believe and know that it's already happening in another reality. You're simply becoming a match for that other reality, so you have no choice but to experience it.
Yes, I got it. And one more question. Few years ago, Bashar was speaking about the being from your civilization, and it was called primary facilitator of your world. I was very drawn to this being. It's like I consider him being like your leader or your guide. Is it my correct perception of his role within your society, or could you please say me something more about him, because I simply like him?
Yes. The idea is this being maintains a very high level of consciousness that allows for him to remain aware of the ebbs and flows and currents within our civilization's collective consciousness. This being also allows for himself to be linked to the ebbs and flows of the collective consciousness of other extraterrestrial civilizations, including the ones such as the Sirius civilizations, the beings that are training our civilization and are guiding us in our pathway to fifth dimensional evolution. This prime facilitator, in many ways, is tuned into these different levels of collective consciousness and acts as an integrator of those energies within his own body, within his own being. As he integrates and wears these energies and downloads these energies and embraces these energies and understands these energies, it allows for all of us to be able to align with those vibrations that this being is downloading, that this being is interacting with. So it's almost as if we have an extra layer as individuals in our civilization. We have an extra layer of support from this being in relationship to understanding our true nature, in relationship to aligning with, you could say, the spiraling organization of the cosmos. This being is emanating a vibration constantly that every member of our civilization has the ability to tune into and oftentimes chooses to tune into, so we can also imbibe and understand and embody those same vibrations that he is tapping into. It allows for us to constantly have a more expanded view of our evolution, a more expanded view of one another, because again, he's linked to our collective consciousness in a very accelerated way, a very higher mind perspective version of our collective consciousness, as well as that of other civilizations. So when we tune into him, we are tuning in to that natural spiral of our civilization's evolution. This is our relationship collectively with this being. It is, in that sense, his highest passion to remain in that type of state of great expansion and great grounded rootedness, so he can broadcast to us all relevant vibrations that are of the utmost benefit for our collective evolution.
Thank you. Well, I seem to have no questions. Do you have any message for me which you perceive I should hear?
Yes. At this time, we will say the following. Recognize that as you go into your year of 2020, the idea is that many things within your civilization are going to shift in relationship to the idea of your perception collectively of all that you perceive. The idea is as you move into 2020, you collectively, your civilization, your species, will begin to literally perceive more dimensionality, more depth, more saturation, more detail with anything you put your attention onto. As a result, every member of your civilization will begin to perceive more and more and more of themselves that they were previously unaware of. It will allow for individuals to become hyper aware of who they are in the moment, how they're organizing their energy, how they're manifesting, as well as the idea of the nature of the parallel realities they are interacting with. It will allow for all of you to begin to see more. For some of you, this may be a very shocking experience because you will begin to see things within your reality that have been staring you in the face, but you did not have the vibration to perceive. So many of those things will become obvious. Many of those things will become apparent to you. Because some of those things may be shocking or may be so surprising that they may create the idea of an emotional response in the system, you can allow for yourself to ground with the earth, to root into the planet, to spend time in nature. Understanding this will allow for you to be able to see with 2020 vision, but in a way that is based in neutrality. Because the energy of nature, the energy of your planet is fundamentally neutral. It's the neutrality of your earth that allows for all experiences available here to be born. Positive and negative experiences are available to you here because the earth is neutral. It allows for both to be available. As you align with the vibrations of the earth, it allows for you to align with the vibration of neutrality. So you can, in a more relaxed way, in a more open way, in a more non-judgmental way, begin to perceive the different details that become available to you as you move into 2020 with that energy of non-judgment and acceptance. So you can more greatly create different versions of yourself. You can more easily shift the energy. You can more greatly, more easily align with your true nature when you're experiencing those energies that have been staring you in the face, but you were essentially ignorant to. It is the earth vibration that will allow for you to be more rooted, more accepting, more open, so as new details, new versions of reality, new facets of information hit your consciousness, you will be in a greater place of stability to be able to interact and shift with that new information. So it is our recommendation during this time to align with your planet, to prepare yourself with the new facets of information that are on their way to your collective consciousness. Aligning with the earth will allow for you to be able to shift and to see the solution, to see the path to whatever it is that emerges within your consciousness. Understanding the earth's resonant tone is also that of C sharp. The musical tone C sharp is more or less the resonant tone of your planet. C sharp also aligns with the idea of vision, being able to see with your vision sharply, clearly, your reality. So as you align with C sharp, it will also amplify the 2020 energy. It will allow for you to see more, to perceive more, to experience more within your own life, within your own being, and within your collective reality experience. So understand the earth is your anchor. It represents the larger you. And as you align with it more and more and more, the idea of 2020 will be something that feels very natural to you. It is something you'll be able to sail through with grace and flow and ease. And any challenge that you perceive, the solution, the way to navigate will become obvious to you. All of these different forces allow for an increase in perception, an increase in vision. So with every challenge that increase in perception allows for, It will also simultaneously, that vision, allow for you to perceive the course of action, the course of navigation. You understand?
Yes.
This is our recommendation for you at the time. Align with the planet and prepare yourself for the idea of being able to perceive greater dimensionality, greater depth within your own internal and external collective reality experience.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you are infinitely welcome. Are there any other questions you would like to bring with us? Any comments? Or are you essentially satisfied with our conversation?
Extremely satisfied. And just one more sentence I will say. It's not a question, it's a wish.
All right, yes.
Bashar was speaking about train station and different pathways going right now into 2020.
Yes, yes.
So I wish for ourselves that we are all on a utopia train. I like the idea of going to utopia.
Yes, yes. We would like to share a reminder with you. If you wish to know the train you're on and its course, its trajectory, notice your vibration right now. That is what aligns you with the different train. That's what aligns you with the different path, with the different timeline. It is your vibration in the moment. When you are embodying the vibration of love, when you are embodying the vibration of joy, of authenticity, and you are living your life from that energy, that's the timeline you're on. That's the train you're on board. So if you're ever questioning, where am I going? How will this unfold? What will life be like? Am I going in the right direction? Simply pay attention to your vibration. If your vibration is not in alignment with love, joy, appreciation, passion, then allow for yourself to shift your inner vibration to match that preferred state. That preferred state is then automatically, without exception, in alignment with that timeline, with that vibration that's an equal match for the state of being in the now that you are choosing. All right?
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your gift of expression. We are very excited for your species. We are very excited for your collective and your collective journey and our collective journey together as family, working to integrate with one another in a more powerful way with every interaction that we have with your civilization, with every conversation, every dreamtime experience we have with your civilization. Our unconditional love to you individually and all members of your human family collectively. We bid you a good day and thank you.
Thank you too.
All right, sir. How great. How great.
Thank you. It was a really deep session, and it answered lots of my questions.
You are.
So,
yes.
And I thank you for providing me this opportunity.
Of course. Of course. Thank you for helping me make a living off of doing what I love, man. You're awesome.
I like that you make living this way. It's really you deserve whatever goes to you.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Thank you for your love of the material. If you wish to share this, like if you want to share this with your friends or anyone, feel free to do so. You are absolutely welcome to share this information. I actually would encourage it if you feel inspired to, specifically because you asked questions that I felt many people wonder about but don't know how to ask, right? They don't know how to formulate that inner curiosity into a sentence. So I think you've asked questions that are very relevant for a lot of different people. So if you want to share this with people that you know love channeled material, I absolutely welcome you to do it. Because even myself listening to it, I felt like I learned a lot, actually. It was like it gave me more clarity into the way reality works and these guides.
Okay, thank you. Of course, I don't have any YouTube channel, so if you want, you can share it also. It's up on you. I don't know if you want to share it. If it was
if it's all right with you, sure thing. I would love to share it. I would absolutely love to. I think Yeah, which you asked will be of I think a lot of service to people. It was really, really good.
Okay.
Well, Milan, I'm gonna get going. Just take care of a few things around my house. But have a great day, man. Have a great holiday and a beautiful, beautiful New Year, man. All the best to you in your journey.
Exactly. Uh, let's be in that vibration so our train goes in a good direction.
Perfect. Exactly. It
Yeah.
sounds great to me, man. I love the
Okay.
direction.
Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye, Milan.
Goodbye.